Hallo, gestemd voor onze laatste gast, de heer Ashbrook, bekend van Twin Peaks, hopelijk bekend van de nieuwe Twin Peaks en ook bekend van heel veel van mijn favoriete horrorcomedies uit de jaren 80 en 90, dus daar ga ik ook wat vragen over stellen. Welkom.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you're a big convention guy actually, because you seem to be working all the time. If I watch your IMDb page.
Well, I wish I was working more always, but no, I haven't done that many. This is like the fourth one I've done. But I like it. It's a different thing. It's weird to just to see how many people still like the show and how people that weren't even born are watching it now too. Just watching it on Netflix or on DVDs. That's really good. It's always cool to see that, you know.
And you immediately start talking about Twin Peaks. I wanted to talk about so much more with you, but obviously that's the thing people still want to talk about.
Yeah.
But if we can go back for a second, because you were in a lot of my older favorites, so I'd like to ask you some questions. You started off your career in a film called Attack of the Killer Tomato, which actually sounds, which sounds like the most fun way to start a movie career ever.
Yeah. And it was actually the weirdest thing, that whole movie. I'm from San Diego, California, and that's where they shot that movie. And the guy that was the lead in the movie, Steve Peace, was the stepson of my mother. He was my stepbrother, basically. My mother married his father. So these guys, what they did was they were a film company that shot footage of football games. So they had cameras, they had all this gear.
No fiction films.
No. It's all just like sports stuff. And so they wrote this script that they wanted to make a movie. So they wrote the script and they wanted to fund this guy's political career, Steve Peace. He eventually became a state senator. So they wanted to fund his political career, so they decided to make this movie, and it was Attack of the Killer. And they made it. They made everything. They made the paper mache, tomatoes, and everything, and all the silliness. And I was 11. I was just a little. I didn't even know what acting was. I just was like, they told me what to do. So it's so funny to think that as starting your career. I don't know what I'm doing.
When have tomatoes ever helped with your career?
Huh?
What's the leap in logic when, yes, let's make a movie about it, to kill a tomato to help someone's political career?
Yeah, I simply just to make the money to be able to for him to run. It was like a financial cash cow for them. Really, is what he needed. And it actually did fund his first run. He made the assembly first, and then he went higher up after that. But yeah, it's a funny story. It's so bizarre because it was 1970 something. I mean, I was 11. My mom was in it too. The same meeting with me. My mom was in there, and my sister as well. Yeah.
But you don't seem to see that as your legitimate start of your career.
No, I didn't even know what I was doing. I wanted to be an athlete. I think at that point I was still trying to be a sporty guy. And as soon as I turned 16, I started to take it seriously.
Another favorite I saw of yours is Girlfriend from Hell.
Yes.
Oh, you don't like to talk about that?
No, I'll talk about it.
But the main thing is, what I find fascinating about that film, there's a weird connection with The Hidden. The Hidden is a film with Gal.
Right.
And in both of those films, these were pre-Twin Peaks, but you both seem to play. You both seem to be playing like weird prototypes of the characters you ended up playing in Twin Peaks. That's such a bizarre coincidence. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I never really even thought of that, but Girlfriend from Hell was a movie I did in like 1988. It was during the writer's strike. There was a writer's strike and no one was working at all. And there was this movie that already had been written and was going to be made, and so no one was working, and I wasn't working, so I said, yeah, I'll do it, I don't care. And then, Girlfriend from Hell. Great title. And I actually ran into, I met Quentin Tarantino once through a friend in an elevator. We were just happened to be sharing an elevator. And, you know, he was a total video guy. He knew every movie ever made, right? And so in the elevator, he meets me and he goes, oh yeah, man, Girlfriend from Hell. Like that's the movie he picked out. I was all of a sudden you gotta pick that. I was like, yeah.
Don't you get the Zappin' alien at the end?
A Zappin' alien, right?
In the beach?
Huh? Yeah. No, she goes up to space. She's a devil.
Yeah, but that's the hidden, like, it has a weird, the hidden and that one kind of.
I don't think I saw the hidden, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay. One of the hardest comedies hard enough, horror's hard enough, but horror comedy is a real tricky one. I think there's maybe 10 really good ones.
Yeah.
You've been in quite a few good ones, I think. What's the trick as an actor?
Well, I think it's the same at every job, you know what I mean? I don't think that because you're going for a horror comedy or anything, you do anything different. You just kind of always come from a place of truth and realness.
So playing it straight.
Yeah, try to just like with
even opposite of tomato.
Well, yeah, that, and well, but also in Twin Peaks, you know, there's humor that comes from the tragedy of it, you know what I mean? So it's not like we're playing it for laughs, but there's a lot of humor in there. And so the horror comedy thing, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of shtick and stuff like that that you can do. I mean, in Return of the Dead Part 2, you know, Phil Bruns, the guy who played the Doctor, was like all about slapstick comedy. I mean, that was his background. So I think it's just like basically the same as anything. You just want to try and, you know, make it work.
Yeah. And you seem to have still, because I thought it was very cool. I got your cameo in a film called Late Faces, a recent horror werewolf movie.
Yeah, about an old folks retirement village.
It's a fantastic concept. It's werewolves among the elderly.
Right. How is that?
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's in your cameo. You're like a weapons.
The weapon, underground weapons.
It's the guy from Girlfriend.
Yeah. Right.
No, but you seem to still have a big affinity for the genre.
Yeah, man. I mean, those guys were really cool, and the guys that did the creature were kind of well known.
They're pretty unique. Werewolf designs.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, I was up for it. It's only a day.
Yeah.
So I had to come up. It was like simple. It just seemed like something fun.
Yeah,
but I like the genre. I absolutely love the genre. I love it. I always have since I was little.
There is something that hasn't reached Belgium yet, but just the title is intriguing me. It's called, let me see if I can get it right, The Aggression Scale.
Right.
What is that about?
That's basically like Home Alone with if the kid was like an assassin. So it's like a dark version of Home Alone. Like we're a gang of guys that are going to get money, like get our boss's money from this guy that stole it, and he happens to be moving into a new house with his new family, with his family, and the gang comes and kills the mom and kills the dad, and then they start to go after the kids. The son and the daughter, and the son's like sharpening like tacks, like little tacks to put on, you know, as little traps. He builds like all these traps, and it's not like a paint can hits him in the head. Oh, it's funny. It's like, oh, he gets stabbed in the face with a knife. And, you know, it's like really dark shit, but it's cool, and it's like an 80s style movie. You know, it's like got that 80s thing where it's just like boom. And one of the guys that comes to these things all the time, his name is Derek Mears. He played the new Jason in Friday the 13th.
And drinking buddy of
Tyler. Yeah, he's in it too. He's in my gang of bad guys. It's a lot of fun. And the guy that played Gummo, I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah, Harvey Kareem's like
that
favorite actor.
Yeah. He was in it as well. He played one of the games.
This is one weird gang.
Oh yeah, it was bizarre. And Ray Wise incidentally played the boss.
Okay.
As well. I've worked with Ray a few times, actually, other than just movies. I love Ray. I want to be Ray.
This is a good moment to move on to the big elephant in the red room. People here are going to know, but I'll explain anyway. There was a new series going to be shooting this year, I think.
Yeah.
And then Mr. David Lynch pulled out at the last moment. I think there weren't any problems when you signed on for this convention. I'm just wondering, were you booked?
Well, there was a chance that we would be. See, when we found out in October that it was going to be happening, you know, and then we found out that we were going to be involved. That was it. We found out it was going to be happening, and then it was like, are we going to be in it? And then we found out it was a continuation and all that stuff. So we got kind of exciting there, and then when what's the question?
No, it's just I can go on because
no, I don't answer it.
No, it was just like when you were booked for this convention, was it mainly because of the reboots or?
Oh, I don't think I don't know, but I just know that it was definitely going to be a dead issue as of Easter Sunday. David called all of us like that were going to be in the reboot and just basically said he's out. He said, I'm out, I'm not going to do it, I can't get the deal, and I just didn't understand, and I was asking all these questions, like how far are you guys away? It's like 1,000,000 miles of money, what is the deal? And he just said they'd been negotiating for a long time, and he just, you know, it hurts him, you know, to have to do that business stuff, and And so he just wanted to be done with it. And he didn't say that we weren't, he wasn't like, you guys can't do it. And Showtime wasn't saying that. He was just saying that he wasn't going to do it. And so we, as a group, all were like, we're not going to do it with that. And, I mean, what's the point? What is the point, honestly? And so, right now, so anyway, on Easter Sunday, he called and told us all that he wasn't doing it. So we were all like, oh my God, it's over, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody called each other and kind of banded together. And then we made a video and we made, this page on Facebook, and we're just trying to.
It's a heartbreaking video, by the way.
We're just trying to, just let everyone know that it's like, it's not what people want to do. And everyone that knows the show knows that. And so, I'm optimistic more than I was 2 years ago. I think it's a 50-50 shot now.
So
they're negotiating.
Okay.
They're negotiating. I asked David point blank, I said, look, do you even want to do this? Like, if they negotiate and you get what you want, do you want to do this? Because he's 69 years old. It's 9 episodes. It's a big commitment, and he's directing every one of them. And he said, yes, I want to do it. So that was enough for me. So I just decided to do whatever I could do.
Yeah, because I hadn't checked because it was so heartbreaking. Basically, the whole cast made a YouTube video saying Twin Peaks without David Lynch is everyone
kind of related it to their characters a little bit.
But no, it's very good news to hear that you even think it's 50-50 because that's great.
I mean, it's better than it was 2 weeks ago for sure, and we just got to work it out.
And I was wondering, story-wise, how far were you into preparation? What have you got?
Nothing. I mean, they've written all 9 scripts. No one is signed on to do it other than Kyle. So Kyle is the only one that's contractually obligated. That's probably why he's been completely quiet. I haven't heard a word from Kyle. But so I think he has to do it no matter what, whether David's involved or not. I don't know. He may have a class. But anyway, he hasn't been quiet, so I don't know what. All I know is that he was the only one who was for sure to do it. David told me I was in it, but I didn't sign the contract.
Yeah. When the idea of the new series came to me, the character of Boby, which you play, most of his danger and his unpredictability comes from his youth. So I was wondering, were you already thinking about where has this guy been, or where has he gone to?
Yeah, I mean, we were all speculating. I mean, I'm sure everyone thought about it. When you first hear that it's going to be a continuation, it's like, well, where are these people going to be, am I going to be a big fat guy? It's like, just gone to speed. I don't know. I think it would be fun to do that. You could speculate all you want,
Especially in that universe.
He's going to be a football coach, he's going to work in town, what the hell? I don't know.
You don't think he escaped Twin Peaks, clearly?
God, I don't think so, but I mean, I have no idea. But you know that Mark wrote a book? Do you know about this? Mark Frost wrote a book about what happened between these 25 years. That was supposed to be released at the same time as the series in 2016.
Is this recent book?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's not out. It's not out.
Okay.
It's supposed to coincide with the actual release of the show. So there's all this stuff that's
He's crossing his fingers,
floating up in the air.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons people were so eager to see Twin Peaks come back, is that really, I mean, television has come a long way, and there's some crazy shit. And there were some clones, I don't know if you remember, there was some Wild Palms.
Wild Palms. I mean, Carlton Hughes has come out and said that Bates Motel was the 3rd season of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, exactly. So television has come a long way, but really nothing has replaced Twin Peaks. And for a few years it was like the Loonies took over the Madhouse. I don't think TV has, that's the most valid reason that it has to come back to me. But you clearly seem to think only Lynch can bring the kind of madness.
Well, I mean, when we were working even on the show, it's like the episodes that he directed was a completely different vibe than the other ones. It was like more of like a television vibe on the other ones where you're moving fast, you're from Dave, everything slows down. Take your time, get your stuff, relax, you talk about things, you make things happen. You know what I mean? So it's just a different whole energy with David. And he comes up with these crazy, like lightning in a bottle sort of ideas where right on the spot. That, like Killer Bob, that was right on the spot, guys. That wasn't written, like that. And that's from his brain. That's it. I mean, his dreams and his weird, way of going about stuff. It's all in his head, and that's what adds the weirdness and the interesting shit about it. I think it's his hand. Mark's hand is much more of the structure end and keeps him in line, and we need both of them. It's definitely a symbiotic relationship. We need each other for this. And hopefully we'll do this.
I was wondering, my girlfriend's an actress, and she was rewatching the whole series, and she said, I wonder if those other directors that came in to direct that young cast, if they were looking up so much to David Lynch that they were mimicking his style, like making crazy suggestions that really you couldn't do anything with as an actor. I wonder if they tried to mimic his. Was that going on, or is that too long ago?
No, that's a good question. There was some times when there was like a definite vibe and a feel for the show overall that these directors were aware of coming in, and they knew they were they had to adhere to that. But I guess like one of the biggest headbutts of the whole thing was when Diane Keaton directed an episode, and Richard Beamer's character played Benjamin Horn, and he was going crazy, trying to reenact the Civil War where the South wins, and he was just insane.
This is what we're missing on TV right now.
Yeah, right? And he's crazy, so he's building the whole, the whole scenario of the war in his office with reeds and dirt and all this stuff. And Diane Keaton, I remember she just came in with so many set ideas that she wanted him to do. It wasn't me, it was him, and Diane had a huge butted heads because she wanted him to do it a certain way, and he wanted to do it more organically. He wanted to be more organic and see where it would go. And it was like she just didn't have time to let him do that. Whereas David, that's his thing. It's like, yeah, find that weird thing. Go do what you need to do, And we had some really good directors. James Foley and Cable Deschanel was Academy Award-winning cinematographer, just brilliant cinematographer. And
But you've been pretty vocal about when it wasn't Lynch, it was harder.
Yeah, it was just different, It was different. It was still good. There was still some good episodes for sure. I mean, we had some great directors, man. Leslie Glatter, she does Homeland now. She's amazing. She's an amazing director, and she got her start, which I think was super. They were good. They just weren't big.
One amazing, if you don't mind telling it, but I read it and I thought this is classic. I think is he made you cry for a certain scene in a diner. Maybe you can set the scene, but the way that he got your character Boby to cry is pretty amazing and pretty. Could you maybe?
Yeah, sure, man. It was a scene between me and my dad, Don Davis, and we're in the diner, and he tells me about a dream that he had, and in that dream, he realizes that I'm going to be okay in my life. And so he tells me this dream, and it's this beautiful story about a colossal, and I forget exactly what it was all about. And, in the script, it was written that Bobby just kind of listens to it. He's not affected by it. He's just kind of like being kind of a teenage kid listening to his dad pontificate. And so when I talked to David about it, he was like, no, you feel this, you're gonna feel it, and that's like a real thing that he's telling you, that you are gonna actually know this is the truth coming in. And so I was like, okay, and so Don did his side, which is the coverage where the camera's pointed at him only, and I'm off camera saying my lines, or I only had one line, I think, but he had all the lines. So when they turn the camera around and it's on me, and he's saying his lines off camera, I was supposed to cry, and I couldn't cry. I was like, it wasn't getting there. I just wasn't getting there. And so David, which is really bizarre, went to Don and took Don off the set for 5 seconds to talk to him away from me. And he wasn't even on camera. And he came back, and off camera, while he's telling me the story of the dream, he started to cry. And that made me cry. And that's the brilliance of David Lynch. I mean, he just, Don Davis is an amazing actor. I mean, and for him to have been able to do that for me off camera, it's a giving thing to do as an actor, to give that much when you're not even on the screen. It's like, what the hell? So that was pretty much one of my most favorite scenes that I did, really. And then the other scene that was always a great scene for me was the scene in the movie where the drugs, me and Cheryl, it's like a 15-minute scene of me and Cheryl Lee just out there making a drug deal that goes bad, and Cheryl Lee is just drunk and being so annoying, and Bobby can't handle it, and he's on coke and weed and alcohol and everything. It was just like crazy. It's just such a great scene to do.
That scene shows as well that I don't know exactly how long after the series that was, but you can only pull that off if you trust and know the other actor well, because you have such a rapport. It's like she's busting your balls, but there's still some sexual thing going on, and the fact that it keeps on going and going, and she's going, it's incredible.
Yeah, this one was a lot of fun to do. It was late. We were in the woods, and it's just so Twin Peaks. We started off the scene. We were supposed to walk into it, so he had us go way back into the woods where there was no cameras or no crew or anything. We were just way back up in the woods in the dark, and we just stood there waiting until he said action. So it was creepy anyway. We're just standing there going, and then to do it. And I remember it was like 3 a.m, and the guy that I shot, he had his head. I shot him in the head, so he had like his brains kind of splattered around.
See his brain?
Yeah, I looked him up and you see the brains, right? That was Dave. He got in there with his rubber gloves at 3 a.m, freezing cold, and he's getting in there and putting blood and making the brains perfect. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's like, come on.
So that's your favorite scene from Fire Walk With Me. Mine features you, and I think you might know what it is. It's the weirdest dancing backward towards a school in any movie. His character, I think you threatened Shirley or something. There's something going on between you.
Yeah, I was mad that she didn't connect with me on some reason.
And then the weirdest music wells up. I still haven't found what that is, but I want that.
Yeah.
And you kind of dance backwards towards the school, still looking at us. What kind of direction are you in?
Well, it was weird, man. Yeah, he had speakers out and was playing the music loud for all the extras that were the kids at school, and they were supposed to be dancing around too, and they were dancing around and doing all this stuff. And he just, said go for it. And it wasn't ever anything specific. It's just sort of the way it went. That's what came out of it.
That's what you do normally?
I don't really dance normally. I'm not a real dancer. But he was into that backwards thing. And actually, when we were talking about the 2016 Twin Peaks, he was like, "You've been practicing walking backwards?"
I rewatched a bit because the whole world is going to Twin Peaks crazy a little bit. So we got to see in London. I got to see Fire Walk With Me again, and I noticed that it's mainly the clothing style, but there was this classic 50s thing going on, with a little bit of that 90s grunge as well. And it was shot in Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So and I hear you had a little hand in that as well. So.
Well, the wardrobe thing for me,
just like flannels.
Yeah, the flannels and the tying around the waist thing. But that wasn't. I didn't start that shit. I mean, it was like the punk rock scene was going on at that time before the 70s, started in the late 70s and the 80s, and it was like all about flannel and wearing around your waist and torn up jeans and boots and shitty t-shirts, and that's what it was. And so that's what I thought I wanted it to look like. And the leather jacket thing was supposed to be a Letterman's jacket. Football player, like you wear in high school or whatever. And at the last minute, Dave wanted the leather jacket. But it was my idea to put the letter on the leather jacket. Because there was a guy in my high school that was a big guy. He played football. And the jackets weren't big enough. So he had his own leather jacket with a leather. So I copied him.
Are you, in general, a rewatcher of your own stuff?
No.
Never.
Like, I haven't seen all the episodes. I've never seen all the episodes.
Okay. That's when I first started talking to actors that would baffle me. And once there's a camera on, you can kind of get it. You don't really see that.
I'm like, oh my god, I'm so bad, or whatever. It's like you get those kind of things. You get insecure about shit when you see yourself obviously, and it's like, oh my god, why did I do that, or whatever. And so I try to not want to be in that place where I'm looking about, worried about how I look, or whatever. And that tends to be what I notice when I'm watching. It's like my hair is a certain way, or why did I look like that, or whatever. And so it can get in the way. But it's also sometimes fun to watch like stuff that's not a big acting scene, or something like an action stuff. I like to watch that stuff. It's not the dailies and that stuff. It's fun.
No, but especially in a show like Twin Peaks where you're asked to go really all out there by the director. Clearly, I can imagine like, what did I even do? What am I going to use?
Yeah. I mean, and I think I had a scene where I was supposed to really go crying with Dr. Jacoby in the first season. I think if David would have directed that episode, it could have been a really amazing scene, and I think it came out okay. But it's just a matter of how you feel coming comfortable and when you feel safe and stuff like that, you know. And data always made me feel really safe to do that crazy shit.
Well, I'll ask that last. I think maybe first if the audience has some questions. Yeah, so go ahead.
You talked about the dinner scene, but there's also another dinner scene with Don Davis when he slapped you in the face. How was it that? Was it a rehearsal or?
It was written exactly like it played. Like the cigarette flies out of his mouth, lands in the meatloaf. Exactly. I mean, we just basically had to do what was written, and it was so fun to do. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't want to like light a cigarette up in front of their parents when they give them shit? Like, yeah, what? You know, it's like the best thing ever.
It's probably one of the only scene when we feel bad about Bobby.
Huh? What?
It's probably one only scene when we feel bad about Bobby.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I know. It's like you feel like, what the hell? Poor guy. Poor Bobby.
Next question. Yeah, go ahead.
I was wondering when you were making it. I was quite little when it came out, but already at the time we knew it was something different. Everyone was talking about it, and I was wondering, as actors, did you know you were doing something that was unusual at the time?
Well, the script of the pilot, when I first read it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. You know, who's this lady with the drape runners with the patch in her eye? I mean, you know, it was all in there. It was all in there. And to talk about it just seemed absurd. You know, it was like, the script, this lady with the patch and the thing and all the stuff. All of the log lady, all of it, you know, all of it was there. And, what was your question?
Yeah, if you knew.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of different.
Yeah, you know, if you hold Twin Peaks up to what other shows were on at that same time, it looks nothing like any of them. I mean, they're all
because we were all. I mean, I was pretty young as well.
yeah. Well, I mean, most people here.
What was that? There were some cop shows, I guess. I remember vaguely.
There was lawyer shows, there was cop shows. They all, in their general look of the show, like the way it looked when you watched it, every corner of every room was lit up perfectly. Everyone's lit. You have makeup and hair, and there's never a corner that's not lit. It never looks dark. And you know, all of a sudden, David comes up with this TV show, and it's like it starts to look cinematic. It starts to look like a movie. And it was the first time that people, like a series, had a cinematic feel. And since then, I mean, look at the television shows that have gone on to be that way, and it's like, thankfully, I mean, the shows that get that kind of quality, you know, take the time. It's hard to do because you have such a close schedule in television. I mean, a fast schedule, you know, it's hard to take the time to light perfectly and all that stuff, so it can be a challenge. But the other show that, when we were nominated for a bunch of Emmys, which is the American Award for Television, and we were nominated for 13 Emmys, and more than any other show, the first season, and we didn't win any of them, including music. Music! I mean, the music alone. It was shocking. And the show that won Best Show was a show called Equal Justice. Yeah, I want to know about that show. I couldn't even tell you about that show. I was there. Just a weird time, you know. It was like, you know, it's change, you know. It's just a change comes, it takes a whole time for people to adjust, I think. And that's the reason why the Academy was so weird about it at first. But anyway, that answer it. We weren't aware, though, honestly, of the, you know, anything really. When we were doing it, the first season was before it came out, so everything was just, we were just autonomous to ourselves. The second season, everything was scattered. But
did you ever, on any other project, get a similar kick like that out of the show?
I can't say that I've gotten the same response from anything I've done since then or before.
Or even for yourself?
I mean, acting-wise? No. I mean, I would say, I mean, you know, I've been delivering some okay stuff, but I mean, just the whole package, you know what I mean? It was like, I remember when we screened the pilot of Twin Peaks at the Directors Guild in LA, and after the screening, people were coming up and like really complimentary. They were like, "We love it. Who killed Mark? Oh, we want to know. Oh my God!" And it was the first time that anytime after a screening of anything I'd done, people came up and were like positive. And I was just didn't know what to say. And I asked him, I said, wow, people really like this. He said, enjoy it because it's not always that way. And he was right, man. It's like, even part of the tweet, it's hard to find good stuff, and then when you find it, it's hard to be in it, and hard to get the job. It's an elusive business,
Twin Peaks is known for some of the very specific, very iconic characters, like the eye patch lady, I forgot her name.
Nadine.
You have Nadine, yeah. You have the log lady. You have all kinds of very, very stereotypical, outrageous people. Do you have any favorite characters that are in the show that you really like?
Oh man, that's a good question. I really liked Coveney's part. I liked when he played, Dennis Denise.
Yeah.
And I really liked Albert, the FBI guy that was played by Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah.
He was amazing. It's so cool, and just like the evolution of his character was amazing. When he had that speech at the end about how he was all about truth, and happiness, and power of love, and all this amazing shit, And so those characters I really like. Hendrik, right? Hendrik's your name.
Which one of the characters comes close? Because you know Lynch personally. Is he in the show secretly? Is there like a character that you say that's actually is it Kyle?
God.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyle has his. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the excitement that he has over like seemingly mundane shit. Like a cup of coffee or a good piece of pie. That Cooper had that love for it, and that was straight from his everyday life. He just enjoys that kind of stuff. He finds the joy in that stuff, and that's a beautiful thing, right? Try to live each day, and not just pass over and stuff.
But it's a weird, it's a kind of, you could almost call it naive, but that doesn't really match with the genius that's there. I don't know, it's
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, there's a genius to the naivete, maybe.
Yeah.
You never know,
you have a question here, sir?
I always wanted to hear about this firsthand. If you notice anything odd about Tajimura's actress,
About what?
Tajimura, the Japanese.
Oh, if I noticed anything about her?
Yeah, if you about Catherine.
Catherine doing that part?
Yeah.
Well, all I remember about that was you're talking about when Piper Laurie played. Yeah. Okay. It was total secret from us. Like they tried to keep it a secret from us. They on the call sheet they took her name off. Piper Laurie's name wasn't on there. They put on some sort of Japanese man's name. And so everybody was like, okay, who's this guy coming in? We don't know, blah blah blah. And then we saw him, and then we didn't know really what was up. And then later, she became, she was in the makeup trailer. We saw her, knew it was her. But I didn't know it was that way. I didn't know it was her until I saw her. But I didn't know they were doing that. I didn't know. I mean, that was a crazy, crazy thing, right? I mean, she was playing a Japanese man. Piper Laurie, come on. She's fucking James Dean. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir?
Yes, a lot of people seem to think they revealed the killer too soon. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that was part of the problem with the second season, definitely. I mean, that's like people kind of lost. It lost a lot of things the second season, but it was pressure from the network. They wanted it to be solved, and it was never really the goal to solve it. It was just sort of a vehicle to get you into this town and get you into this weird place. And so when it came out, and the marketing people sort of at ABC sort of pre-marketing, it was like, who killed Laura Palmer? Want a donut? It was like these little subtle things came out, but it became such a whodunit by the time it came out that people wanted to know who killed her. It was an obsession, and so they got pressure, and as soon as they solved it, it was like sort of like, well, what's happening? No one was ready for it. We weren't, they weren't, no one was, and so it just kind of, it was. I don't know if they would have let it go on for more seasons. I don't know who killed her, you know what I mean? I don't know if they would have done that or not if they hadn't had pressure from the network. I don't know.
But it's still interesting that, seeing it so many years later, that it is a very dark choice to choose that particular killer, I think, in the whole backstory.
Oh, yeah.
So it isn't just the network thing of, okay, it's that guy. I mean, it's
Her dad, possessed by, I mean, this was sick shit. I mean, it's totally, that's what's amazing about Twin Peaks. I mean, come on. That just doesn't, it didn't happen then. Now it's a little more commonplace, but I mean, clearly, Game of Thrones, everybody fucks everybody, and they have to and it's their brother, their sister, their mother, I don't know.
But no coffee.
No damn fine.
Yeah, okay.
How did you feel when you realized that Twin Peaks was becoming this cultural phenomenon?
Gosh, I don't know if I ever really knew that. Other than now, I kind of see that it has some sort of staying power. You know, it's been around for this long, and people are still into it. So it's kind of opened up my eyes to the fact that wow, this was something that did make an impact, and still has the ability to do that. And I think that's amazing. I don't remember what your question was though.
How did you feel about it?
Feel about.
That you were part of something?
Oh, well, God, you know, it's lucky. I feel lucky, well, honestly, because, I mean, the casting director of Twin Peaks was a casting director that I'd read for many times for other shows. She used to cast for Spielberg on a TV series that he was doing at the time called Amazing Stories. And I would go and I would see her all the time for that, and I never got the job. And they just brought me in, David saw my picture, brought me in, and I never even had another guy that was up to the part. It was like, when you have to get a job on a television show, you have to jump through a lot of hoops, but you have to do this thing called the network test, where you go and all the studio executives are there in an office, like a tiny little office, like probably 10, 15 people are in there, and you have to read in front of them. You have to do the scene. It's nerve-wracking, and it's the worst thing, and you have to sign a contract also before you go in, signing away how much money you're going to make, and for the next 7 years, how much money you're going to make each year. So you have to sign that before you go into the audition, and there's like 4 guys that are going for the same part, right? So you're hanging this money out in front of you, this career, and you're going into this audition, no pressure. And but the thing with David and with Twin Peaks was that he had the final say, and so when we went to the network test, there was no other actors there besides us. It was just me and Machen and Laura from Boyle and Ray Wise and Richard Beamer and Penny Lipton. It was just us. No competition. Wasn't nerve-wracking. You know, didn't have to deal with having another guy there, and it was probably the easiest job I ever got, honestly. It was just lucky. I feel really lucky to have been part of something that was well received, because I've done a lot of stuff that's just, you know, didn't ever make it past the white noise of just mediocrity, you know, sort of.
You said, sorry for interrupting, you said you never got that kick again like you did then. Has it sabotaged your later career in a way? Because I see, sometimes when I see Ray Wise, I think he's still a fantastic actor. But he is pigeonholed in that Ray Wise, I mean, that character.
Right.
So do you feel like, okay, maybe if I hadn't done Twin Peaks, people would see more sides of me?
I think maybe at the start it was a little more like that. Like right after it came out, I was like trying to fight against being like the asshole characters that people would come throwing my way. I wanted to be more like sort of like the nice guy. For some reason, it's a bad choice because it's not fun to play the nice guy. It's much more fun to play the bad guys. But I want to mix it up, and so you know, I was at that time I was a little more aware of that stuff. But now I don't even feel it. You know, I don't think people, if they remember me, it's not like they even remember like the character so much that it identifies so hard. So I'm like, you guys, 2 Twin Peaks fans, you know, they identify, but like the person that just watched it wasn't like obsessed.
Okay. Okay, one more question. Oh wait, well, what can you do to it? Pass it. Yes, sir.
In the show, it's been a long time since I saw it, but there was also like a soap opera that would play and you would see little bits of it.
Yeah.
Now, in Twin Peaks, all the characters pretty much had scenes with each other, and I'm sure all the actors knew the whole cast, but how did was that show, that TV...
Invitation to Love.
Yeah, okay, exactly, that's the one. Was that shot as well in the same schedule? Did you ever meet
Yeah,
those
I never met
actors?
those guys, but no, yeah, they were shooting it. Yeah, they were doing they were definitely shooting that. I don't know who shot it. I know it was Mark's. That was Mark's creation a lot.
the soap opera, because that thing didn't last. If you notice, it got written out pretty fast. It's like they tried it for a couple episodes and then it was
That's
done.
a shame. It was one of the interesting bits of the series, I thought.
Yeah, it was interesting to call her, see where it would have gone, and see if it would have paralleled anything or whatever. But Shelley Johnson was into it, so she was really into Imitation of Love. Right?
Oh, okay.
I was wondering, you mentioned the music. It has a big part of the Twin Peaks series. Did it come after the filming, or did you have the chance to listen it while filming?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was completely. Apart.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't listening to like my particular like theme music, the guitar music or something, but there would be David would play music in his headphones. He'd have the sound guy pipe in a low music underneath, so he could hear while he was listening to the dialogue to the music, and he would let us listen to the music. So to put us in a mood and sing, you know what I mean? But it wasn't necessarily sort of the Angelo Badalamenti stuff. It was more of like just some sort of weird moody kind of music that probably Angelo came up with, but it wasn't like from the soundtrack.
And afterwards, when you watched some of the episodes, you heard the music. Did you have the feeling, oh, it's changed everything for what you played? Actually, it gave something else.
It was super powerful music, of course.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely, when I heard the music, I thought it was amazing. And the fact that he had like these little themes for all the characters was like super cool and super interesting and so great. And I loved it. And I think that after that first season, we really heard all the music, you know, it probably helped us a little bit, you know. And the dancing that he was talking about for the movie, that was music that, you know, he pumped out at decimals, and we were just like, you know, it was loud. It was like a concert. But yes.
Question: how would you compare the making of the movie via Welp with the series? Because I have a DVD that's got like 90 minutes of additional material, shots they didn't use, crazy stuff.
Yeah, like the coke thing where I put it in the air.
Was it much more improvised, or was there much more room for improvisation?
You know, I don't recall there being that much improvisation. I recall the first scene I did in the movie was when I got there was the scene with Cheryl Lee and I had on the couch. And we have this long scene about the coke actually that got cut in half. I think it's in the added footage, but I'm not sure on the DVD.
Yeah, there was a whole plot line kind of.
I got baby coke. It was like baby powder, and they just changed it. They cut all that out and just made it real coke in the movie. But so all that stuff is deleted. And what was your question?
Why there's so much deleted material? Did that also mean there was much more?
Oh yeah,
is that just his way of working? I guess.
Yeah, I think he just shoots what he can, and then just goes down and pares it down later. You know, I don't know. I really don't know. It's a good question, man. But then they put all those scenes with Peggy and Ed and Big Ed and Peggy on the DVD too. All those beautiful scenes that just didn't make it in the movie. You know.
I do have to admit that seeing that movie on the big screen, I mean, Twin Peaks is pretty weird, but that movie, Firewalks with Me, is, and I've seen some weird shit, it's one of the weirdest things that has ever been made in cinema history. Especially if you're detached from the series.
Oh yeah.
What is that thing? I don't know.
I know. There's some strange stuff in there, man. And like the whole Boby stuff, the David Bowie stuff, and the Chris Isaac characters, and all that stuff.
And a traffic jam with just 3 cars.
That's Twin Peaks, man. It's a busy place.
Okay, we camped up that one. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying.
Thanks,